I'm Michiel Vos, the founder of CocoPallet project. I'm so happy to be in India, incredible India, for almost 2 weeks now. It's been a joy learning more about your country. Let me tell you a little bit about our impact project, which we do together with Superpacks from Bangalore in sustainable packaging, that we'll introduce later. But can you hear me in the back of the room also? Sorry about that. Or should we just use this one? Okay. Okay. We value your time, so we have an alternative solution. We'll use this one. Okay. So about our project. We discovered a technique at the university to make coconut husk into kind of MDF. And so we were looking for the biggest problem we could find to solve so we could scale it. And the problem we found is that 200 million trees are being used to make like 1.3 billion export pallets from Asia. And these trees don't grow in Asia, so most of it's imported and it comes at a much higher cost every year. On the other hand, especially in South India, there are a lot of coconut husks being wasted. There's no use for it, the farmers make very little money. So we came up with a solution, and we knew that this sustainable solution would be very attractive because everybody wants to be more sustainable. But we also know that if the price is not interesting, we could not get purchasing department. And in the business-to-business market, this is very important that the price is right. So we set out in this adventure to make like a circular solution that solves several problems at the same time. But we knew the price should be right and the product should be right. So we created the CocoPallet. It's very solid. It measures like 120 by 1 meter. But more important, it's fully circular because we don't use any glue, any additives to our process. We just need pressure and heat. That's the secret about the coconut husk because it has the glue already inside. Therefore, we don't have to buy glue. We have an optimum production method. And we are affordable. We can compete with most wooden pallets in Asia. They're fully circular, and I'll get back to that later, because it's 100% bio-based. It's not the silver bullet. It doesn't solve all your pallet requirements, but for a big chunk of exporters or people that use one-way pallets, it's a very good solution. So if you focus on 1,000 kilos, 1,250 kilos, in boxes or big bags, good load dynamics, in a dry environment, it works fine. What's important is that it's strong enough, it's compliant for export, and the price. The price is key in this thing to scale. We have developed this in Europe with mostly German engineers in the wood technology industry. It took us much longer than expected, but now we finished our R&D and we're ready to scale. And we chose Karnataka, Tiptur area, where there's a lot of coconut husk, to build the first factory. But looking at the demand, it's very likely that we also have built factories in Tamil Nadu or Kerala, where there's a lot of coconuts. If you look at the design, you see that we only have curves, and we learned this from nature. Because if you have, for example, a chocolate bar, you have straight lines and it snaps on the straight lines. So we avoid all the straight lines, and by design it's more rigid, it's stronger. This is what we learned from nature. You've seen that our pallet is nestable. That means that we can put about 1,000 or more on a truck or in a 40-foot container to you. So this is more efficient and also lowers the carbon footprint in shipping. We have tested this in independent third-party verification labs in Europe, but also we've, of course, done our own test by dropping things, putting in crazy weights on it, like bags of sand. So it's very sturdy. We advise to keep it dry because it's a natural product, but it can, due to the density, it can handle some moisture as long as it's not long-time exposure. Because as you see here, we use a natural product, we create value by compression molding, heat and pressure, but at the end, it's supposed to go back to nature. The funny thing is that the price that is paid in Asia is very similar to the price you could get in Europe. For example, if we buy a bio-based milled coconut husk in our country, in the Netherlands, we pay 550 euros per ton, wholesale. And pellet is about 20 kilos, so you can calculate what is the potential money you can retrieve if you collect these pellets and sell them to biomass. As we focus on one-way pellets, most of that will be export, some will be national. We got all the documents in place to ensure that you have an easy exit, that you enter all the countries. We've tested it to supply chains in Australia, to the United States, to Europe, and it goes seamlessly. So I'd like to introduce you to Uday Bapu, who can tell you a little bit more about the context here in India.
Okay, thanks, Michiel. So my name is Uday, and I'm the CEO of Superpacks. And Superpacks is basically a 40-year-old packaging business that's based out of Bangalore. And Superpacks will be the operational partner in this JV with CocoPallet. CocoPallet provides the technology, and we take care of the execution on the ground here. So we've trialed the CocoPallet, with a lot of customers in a host of different supply chains across Asia. And what we've found is that the best fit for CocoPallet use is in supply chains which are typically high volume, one way, on standardized Euro size pallets, having uniform load distribution. And as Michiel said, the ideal sweet spot is about 1,250 kgs. And in terms of a market fit, we've seen the best success in markets like electronics, pharmaceuticals, food and beverage, and FMCG as well, and of course automotive. We are also trying this product out in e-commerce. There are a lot of, and we're always interested to hear from customers if there are unique use cases. And if your use case is very unique, please come and talk to us, and we'll provide you samples, and you can try this in your supply chain as well. So interestingly, India's consumption of one-way wooden pallets is about 57 million today. And if you kind of equate that to the number of trees that you will save, that is about 82 lakh trees every year by replacing with Coco pallets. So this is a pretty strong, value prop for us. So as I mentioned before, we have trialed this product with a lot of customers in Asia, and we've had successful launching trials. And the next few slides, we'll just talk about a few case studies wherein the CocoPallet has been adopted into supply chains. So one of our marquee use cases is obviously Unilever. Unilever tried this in Philippines, and they used the CocoPallet for shipping materials inter-island. That is, Philippines is a bunch of islands, so they shipped it from one island to another and for their last mile delivery purposes. And the CocoPallet passed all their internal handling and testing requirements. So Sandvik is a global Swedish engineering company, and they basically shipped mining products out of Singapore. And as you can see, they've double stacked 600 kgs. So the base pallet took about 1,200 kgs of load very comfortably here. Santa Fe is a global logistics and relocation company. So they trialed the product for shipping personal goods from Philippines to China. And all tests were passed, and they've also announced a global partnership with the CocoPallet, and they want to execute and implement CocoPallet in all of their supply chains across the world. Barry Callebaut is a $12 billion Swiss chocolate maker. So they're a giant in the food and beverage industry. So they trialed our pallets in Malaysia. and these were very successful. Prismian Group is a global Italian multinational company. They're, I think, about $16 billion in revenue. And this was a very interesting use case for us because they decided to trial this in Australia. And, as far as countries goes, Australia is probably, has the hardest scrutiny on import of agri-products, right? And the CocoPallet is obviously made from waste coconut husk, but importing it into Australia, was no challenge, and there were very successful trials here. So Australia was kind of a showcase use for us because, people always ask us, can this be imported, or, what are the export regulations? But if Australia can import these products anywhere else in the world, you can as well. So the International Dispensary Association is a Dutch company, and they basically ship medical kits and healthcare equipment to the developing world. So these were successful trials as well, and they've announced a partnership with us. They ship product, in the use case trials, they ship product from the Netherlands to Dubai, and all tests were passed. So we also trialed this with customers in India. So Nissan Renault is a good use case example for us. And this was important because, Nissan Renault decided to ship products on a CocoPallet from India to Brazil, and that has a 4-week sailing window, right? So I think from the time it shipped to the time it opened, it was about 160 days. And, on that route, there are high temperature and moisture variances, but the CocoPallet and the products were just fine when they arrived. So Victron Energy is another use case in electronics which have been successful, and these were also, the trials were from India to Europe. So basically, when Michiel and Urian, who's our CTO, they've been in India for the last 3 weeks, and we've got a lot of diverse interest from different Indian companies. And basically, Ford India talked to us. Sanmina was another global EMS. They've spoken to us. Thermo Fisher Scientific, Flex India, which is again a contract manufacturer, they've spoken to us. Flipkart, want to replace these pallets tomorrow if they can, right? Because their ESG directives are very, very strong. But so, again, we've started sampling our pallets in their supply chains, and we're awaiting results now. And Granules India is a big player in the India pharma market, and these guys were very, very interested as well. And so our CocoPallet very proudly sits in 4 of DHL's Global Innovation Center, because they have recognized our efforts in kind of transforming sustainability in the global logistics supply chain. So these pallets are displayed in Chicago, in Germany, in Dubai, and Singapore, and you can see these pictures. So coming to the India project, we will start commercial operations by July 2025 in a place called Tiptur. So we chose Tiptur because, if you just go to Tiptur, Tiptur is the heart of the coconut belt in Karnataka, right? And if you just go to Tiptur, you'll just see all you will experience there is a sea of coconut husks. And these husks are waste husks. They have no purpose, right? So they're all discarded on the road, in farms, in houses. And this is wonderful in terms of raw material for us. And the difference between Karnataka and say maybe Tamil Nadu and Kerala in terms of the husk availability is that, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they actually have downstream processing for husks. They convert husks into rope and coir and mats and things like that. But, unfortunately for us, Karnataka just throws it away. So this becomes, abundant raw material for us. And with just the availability in the small village of Tiptur, we can produce 2.5 crore cocoa pellets annually. And, okay, so Tiptur, for those of you who don't know, it's that red spot over there. It's about 70 to 80 kilometers east of Bangalore. So initially when we start the project, the plant will have a capacity to produce about 1.5 lakh cocoa pallets annually. And by 2028, we'll scale it to 10 lakh cocoa pallets. And this is less than 4% of the total husk supply in Tiptur. And in terms of scale up, because the capacity in our Tiptur plant will be less than half of what India requires, we can scale a project to 3-4 regional factories in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And we also have a lot of interest from parties in Indonesia and Philippines, because these are very prominent coconut growing regions, right? And they want to partner with us to set up CocoPallet factories there as well. So what you can do, please come and talk with us. We have a booth here. You should test the CocoPallet in your supply chains with us. I mean, everywhere we've tested so far, it's been quite successful. And in some cases, we've had feedback from customers as well who want to slightly modify the CocoPallet in terms of maybe changing a few design features, etc. All of that can be possible before we start the factory. And use the CocoPallet to reduce your carbon footprint, to save trees, and most importantly, to reduce your own supply chain costs. And that's what it all comes down to ultimately, in our opinion. So with that, we'll open the floor for any questions you may have. And this was a picture that we took in Germany about 3 weeks ago. We ran a pilot lot in Wolfsburg. We rented presses that Volkswagen uses to make these pallets. And we have about 200 pallets with us, and we'll be able to give that out to anybody who's interested. So.
Yeah, this is a question that I might be able to answer. The production process is based on a molding process. We require the ribs to create strength to the product. If we would create a flat surface, we would not be able to achieve the right strength. So yes, a flat surface is possible, but we would suggest to use a plywood sheet made out of cardboard or a plywood sheet to ensure that the surface is completely flat, if that is a must for the supply chain.
Also supplied by Superpacks, like 5 or 3
Yeah, Superpacks could be in this case the complete one-shop solution, as they provide also corrugated cardboard packaging to the industry. Yeah. So the solution that you would purchase from Superpacks would be a complete solution that fits your requirements.
And I will say that, a lot of people ask this question, right? Oh, if you add maybe a corrugated sheet, the cost goes up. But what we will kind of say right now as a blanket statement is that even including any modification you make, including a corrugated sheet, the cost of this solution will be on par, or at least, or maybe even lower than what you're currently paying for, right? Like we won't add the corrugated sheet and say, look, it's more expensive now, because that won't work. So the idea is for the solution to be cheaper than what you're currently paying for in any shape or form.
Can I ask a question? Yeah. Yeah, I have 3 questions. The first question is, what is the load-bearing capacity? The second question is, cocoa is a natural material, so they are very hygroscopic in nature. So how do you protect from the environment? And especially a country like India, where it's a very tropical country, during the rainy season, it's a moisture absorbent. So as a result, the load-bearing capacity might go down. The third one is today in the market, in Indian market, we do get 3 different types of pallets. And incidentally, I'm the chairman of ISI committee, and I'm just cleared the 3 different standards we have made. One is the wooden pallet, another is a plastic pallet, which is mostly injection molded. And the third one, we have recently cleared another standard, which is a recycled plastic pallet, which is a Tetra Pak material, which can make that compression molded. Fourth one is also coming in the market, as you said, that corrugated box sheets are coming. Now, these I find the 5th one, which is a natural-based material. That's a good thing. We should promote that as a sustainable point of view. But how do you see the economics part if you think all the 5 different category of pallets? Yeah.
Let's answer one of your questions and the other one in the booth later on.
Okay.
So, Uday, which one you like to answer?
First is the load-bearing capacity, because the wooden container can take 6,000 kilo.
Yeah, so basically we design it for about 1,000 to 1,250 kilos.
Okay.
And of course, if you introduce a product, you always want to under-promise and over-perform. Okay. So we know they're stronger than that, but we say 1,000 kilos, 1,250.
Okay.
And about the plastic pellets can be a very good solution in repeatable use. But for one-way use, they're horrible. So you better look at something like this.
Okay. There's a counter question. There is the 2 types of pallet what is available in the market. One is expandable and non-expandable, which is used, one for the storage purpose. We say they're non-expandable. Another is storage as well as the transportation. This is usable for both, or it should be only the Danish pallet?
We focus on replacing as many as possible single-use one-way pallets.
Oh, it's a single use.
For storage, you might use a very high-quality wooden pallet or a plastic pallet, because that's what they're made for. Mm-hmm. But we have developed something to replace the wooden, very simple, cheap pallets.
Mm. Right. And to quickly come back on your question about water absorption, The cocoa husk likes water a lot. It absorbs water easily. That's why it's also a very good usage for agriculture, to mix it through the soil, to keep the air in the soil and to hold up moisture. The process is a press molding process in which we achieve high densities. As soon as we receive high densities, the swelling will be very low. So moisture is not able to penetrate into the surface of the material.
Is there any water barrier in the top line or?
No, so it's the high density that makes you can actually touch and feel the pellet and see yourself at the boot. That would
We are
probably-
over our time limit, so one question, and then
Yeah.
we answer the rest in the booth.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
So under normal conditions, right, in a warehouse like moisture, temperature, etc., technically a CocoPallet can last forever. Yeah, but we recommend that you don't leave it out in the rain. You don't dunk it in the ocean. If you do all of that, then it will go back to nature. But if you just use it in normal supply chains, which are reasonably dry, right, which most like electronics, pharmaceuticals, all of them will be, and even food and beverage for the most part, if they are dry supply chains, then and conditions, normal conditions of handling, we say 100 years. Okay, forever is maybe a stretch, but 100 years.
Yeah, only 100 years.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you in the booth later. One important thing, our project is an impact project, but also creating value for the farmers. So paying a fair share for the coconut husk. So that depends on the area, but this is also one of the key things of our project. So keep that in mind. It's good for you, but not only good for you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the booth.
Thank you. Take this. Thank you.
Thank you, Uday. Thank you, Michiel and the rest of the CocoPallet team for that insightful presentation. And now coming to the second panel discussion for the day, we will be focusing on the next normal of sustainable packaging. This session examines the evolving landscape of sustainable packaging, addressing consumer misconceptions and balancing sustainability with cost, quality, and convenience. We will talk about future strategies that will drive success in sustainable packaging and something that meets both consumer expectations and environmental goals. So with that, I would like to invite first the moderator, Mr. Krunal Goda, Director, Anant Tattva Private Limited. Please join us in welcoming him on the stage. And next, I would like to welcome the panelists. First, I would like to welcome Mr. Aniket Bilai, Manager Packaging Development, Pernod Ricard. Mr. Param Gandhi, Co-founder FibMold. Mr. Saurabh Goenka, Director Marketing, Pashupati Group. Mr. Sanjeev Kumar Jha, Executive Director, Resurgent India Limited. Over to you, Mr. Krunal Goda. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we are going to have a very great session that we are going to speak on sustainable packaging. It's an interesting topic, always good to hear about, but the word sustainable comes with a lot of challenges. A glamorized world, a glamorized word, and the glamorized industry. So let's make this session very interactive one. And I welcome all the panelists. Thanks for giving your valuable time for being for this particular session. And it's an honor that we have the people from the industry to speak about how they came up with the concept of being into sustainable packaging. What are the daily challenges they have been facing across, and what is the way forward that the industry should look at. So at first, to begin with, let me introduce to our great panelists that we have on board today. We have Mr. Param Gandhi, the co-founder for FibMold with us. Welcome on stage, sir. We have Mr. Saurabh Goenka, the Director of Marketing for Pashupati Group. We have Mr. Aniket Bilai, the Manager Packaging Development for Pernod Ricard. And then we have Mr. Sanjit Kumar Jha from Resurgent India. So when we speak about the sustainable packaging comes, as I said, with a lot of challenges. But the good part is over here that the industry as a whole, the stakeholders as a whole, the global dynamics as a whole, for the first time in history, is supporting this word. Sustainable packaging is not something that we as in India per se are doing from today onwards. We have been doing this since last 50 years. We have always been an innovator. We have been doing great into R&D, and we have always developed a alternate system to the traditional systems. Sustainable is the name just given to glamorize the world and to bring a charm. Especially the financial people would be aware how to bring a charm in the market. So that's where the sustainable packaging actually came into picture. For the industry, for the brands, it has been a lot of legwork, I would say, especially the packaging and the quality managers who are there. For them, it's an uphill task. The next task comes into the finance team, basically when it comes to the sustainable packaging part of it. The third is the compliance part of it, when we speak about not only the government norms, but meeting the ESG requirements, the BRSR reports also, and the global requirements. And then comes the operational aspect of it. Operations is a very challenging task because feedstock is something that makes a lot of difference on the consistency. That's where the industry always speaks about on the consistency part of it. When I say about the recycling industry and when I say about the alternative plastics, because consistency comes in both the aspect a bigger challenge. The technology factor is something that drives the entire industry. Enough of me saying too much for 5 minutes. I think the industry experts should speak about it. And with this, we start this panel discussion. At first, before going right to the question answer and making it boring, first let's listen from the industry on what they think this next forward of the sustainable packaging is going to be. I'm going to join you guys as over here. But from this, I request the panelists to one by one give across their thought process on what is sustainable packaging and how we have been driving across and how do you see your way forward in quick 2 minutes for all.
Yeah, thanks, Kunal.